Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Now let's sum up this discussion of the so-called currency war and these related issues. Got to push on to some other important points. The main question is this. Every country has an inherent sovereign right to manage the value of its currency. As a matter of fact, look in the Constitution. We have it in there in the powers of Congress to regulate the value of U.S. currency. It's in there. So we want to be able to do that. Others have to do it. It's an inherent power of a sovereign state. The only question is how. You want to do this as much as possible on the basis of cooperation, because we are working from a worldwide division of labor, which includes all of these countries and all of these billions of people around the world. And that's everybody's interest to develop the world division of labor, to make it more complex, to make it more successful. So we're not interested in trade wars and barriers per se, but on the other hand, dumping and other things have got to be met with the instruments of protectionism and mercantilism. And the main thing you want to protect yourself against is hot money, the hedge funds, the hedge fund hyenas, the asset strippers, the Soroses, the Mitt Romneys of the world, the people who have idea dinners in New York about how to destroy Greek bonds and then destroy the euro. The whole conspiratorial aspect is totally unacceptable. So what you're seeing is that countries are forced to do the most obvious thing, which is to sell their own currencies to try to drive them down. But we're seeing in the case of Japan that doesn't work. The Kan government, the new prime minister of Japan, K-A-N, they have been doing unilateral intervention since September 15th. Hasn't worked very well, hasn't worked at all, really. Again, the yen still at the very high 81.86 today. They call it decisive action or smoothing operations. Those are the euphemisms of the Japanese government. But still, they've got to do something. Beyond simple central bank intervention, unilateral or any other way, is the obvious thing. Capital controls, exchange controls. Go back to Malaysia in 1998. It worked fine. All the financiers said it would be the end of the world and the ultimate destruction of Malaysia. Never happened. It was good for Malaysia. It would be good for the world. Stop international hot money speculative flows. Shut down the casino with exchange controls and capital controls. Everybody will be better off. But obviously, beyond that, there's more. Certain kinds of tariffs are going to be unavoidable if certain powers can persist in dumping. A modest tariff, really somewhere between revenue tariff and protective tariff, would be a good thing for the United States. I've recommended about 10%. You can read about this in Surviving the Cataclysm. That would be obviously a step in the right direction. But where you really want to go is to say the following. You've got the fact that China is pegged to the United States dollar. This is an island of stability in what is otherwise a world of chaos. The Europeans solved the chaotic side of it by creating the euro, which eliminated this welter of different national currencies, some of them quite small, quite easily attackable and manipulable by hedge funds, as we see even with Greece today. But when you have individual currencies like Hungary, you're a sitting duck. So the euro is much harder to attack, as the Anglo-Americans have now found out. So it's better to say if the Chinese-U.S. fixed parity or narrow band of oscillation is an island of stability, why not assemble the rest of the world around that through a process of negotiation? In other words, instead of trying to break up and destroy the one existing fixed parity or something close to it, why not begin to build in a fixed exchange rate for the euro, quite obviously, for the yen, and then begin assembling the others, the ruble and so forth, into that picture. Let Brazil, and of course, you've got to negotiate the solution. And what you're going to find is that the way that you'll find an agreement is to build in that multilateral lending authority so that you'll be able to satisfy the competing needs, which cannot be satisfied in a world of depression, breakdown, crisis, and disintegration. Satisfy them by increasing the size of the world pie. And the way you increase the size of the world pie is to create an international, multilateral, sovereign state lending authority where you could, for example, finance it with a worldwide Tobin tax and use that money to do the big ones, right? The Bering Strait, the Ganges, Brahmaputra, the Nile, Congo, the Cape to Cairo, the Dakar to Djibouti, big stress on Africa, but not only, right? Bangladesh would benefit, the Mekong would benefit, several countries there, and so forth. Go through and take that list of the 25 or 30 great projects of the world, assign them perhaps $1 trillion each, and get to work. And that will then increase the world profit margin, expand the world pie, increase the absolute profit of the world economy in real terms so that everybody can be satisfied. Otherwise, you will have exchange controls and capital controls. And the benefit of that will be at least that the era of hot money globalization is going to come to an end. So we are in an age of disintegration. The thing is that the globalized system is already so disintegrated, so wrecked, it's so much of a rubble field that the disintegration of globalization would be a step towards increased order, ironically enough. That's the one difference between now and 1931. Now, let's look at the other big problem facing the U.S., which is now the Pakistan situation. We've just had the 9th anniversary of the lunatic military adventure in Afghanistan, predicated on this insane lie about bin Laden, al-Qaeda, and that somehow these illiterate characters, Stone Age types practically running around in caves in the Hindu Kush are somehow responsible for 9/11, that they could do that apart from their intentions, but that they actually had the technical, physical ability to do this. A completely fantastic and unbelievable thesis. And on the basis of this, we now have 150,000 foreign troops in Afghanistan. It bears no relation, even in the fantasy world of these stories. There's no relation between the cause and the goals, the announced goals and the means. The goal of this, of course, is to break up Afghanistan, sure, prevent any construction from going through, no pipelines, no Indo-European rail line going through Afghanistan, but above all, to export that into Pakistan and to promote the breakup of Pakistan into 4 or 5 different countries, with Waziristan, with Sindh, with Punjab, with Balochistan, and break up Pakistan so that no pipeline can ever go from Iran into China. That entire policy is now in crisis. The Pakistanis have cut the supply line of the invading forces. A big crisis is here, and we'll be back in a minute.